Every single time you log into an app, check your email, or open a file on a shared drive, there's this incredible digital dance that happens in just milliseconds. And it's all to answer one single age-old question: who goes there? So today, we're going to pull back that curtain on the world of digital identity and access. But seriously, just stop and think about that for a second. You type a password on your laptop, and a server that could be thousands of miles away just instantly lets you in. How? How does it really know that it's you and not someone else? What are these invisible rules that are running our digital lives? Well, let's dive in. The whole thing comes down to this big concept called Identity and Access Management, or IAM for short. You can think of it as the ultimate rule book for the digital universe. And it's so much more than just passwords. It's this whole system that's built to figure out who you are online and exactly what you're allowed to see and do. Okay, so the very first step in this whole process is you gotta prove you are who you say you are. This is what we call authentication. It's kind of like walking into a secure office building, right? Before you can even think about getting to your desk, you've gotta stop at the front and show them some ID. And this brings up two super important ideas that people mix up all the time: authentication and authorization. So authentication is you showing your ID badge. It's just proving you're you. Authorization, that comes next. That's the set of keys you get once you're inside. It decides which doors you can actually open. They might sound alike, but trust me, they are totally different steps in keeping things secure. The problem, of course, is that a password by itself is a pretty flimsy way to prove who you are. It's like having an ID badge that's just a sticky note with your name scribbled on it. I mean, it's easy to lose, it's way too easy to copy, and it is not very secure at all. In today's world, with data breaches happening all the time, one single lock on the door just isn't going to cut it. And that is where multi-factor authentication, or MFA, comes into the picture. It adds this absolutely crucial second layer. So first, you give something you know, that's your password. But then, the system asks for something you have, like a one-time code that gets sent to your phone. You need both pieces of the puzzle to get in, which makes it so much harder for an attacker to break in, even if they somehow steal your password. So, you've proven who you are, you're officially inside the building, great. Now we get to authorization. What are you actually allowed to do in there? This is where we start talking about the keys to the kingdom. It all really boils down to this idea of privilege. To be specific, something called the principle of least privilege. Now that sounds fancy, but it's a really simple core security idea. A user should only have the absolute bare minimum access they need to do their job. Nothing more, nothing less. But here's the real challenge. Privilege is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. As the experts at the National Institute of Standards and Technology point out, a person's job changes all the time. Your access rights can't just be set in stone on day one. They have to be able to change just as fast as your role does. Exactly. Think about an employee who moves from the sales team over to marketing. All of a sudden, they don't need access to sales contracts anymore, but they definitely need the files for the new ad campaign. Their digital keys need to be swapped out on the fly instantly. That's what we call dynamic privilege management, making sure access rights always match reality. And all of this brings us to an even bigger picture. Every single digital identity, whether it's for an employee, a customer, even a contractor, it has a life cycle. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And every single stage has to be managed really, really carefully. So an identity's journey kicks off on day one with creating the accounts. Then, over time, maybe their privileges get tweaked as their job changes. There are rules that are always on, like automatically logging someone out if they're inactive for too long, and then eventually access gets revoked. And that leads to the final day, when the account is totally and completely removed from the system for good. Now, that last step is one of the most critical. And you'd be surprised, it's also one of the most forgotten parts of the entire identity lifecycle. What happens when it's time to say goodbye? I mean, really think about it. When someone leaves a company, their physical key card stops working that same day, right? Their access to the building is cut off, period. But what about their digital access? If their online account isn't shut down, it becomes what we call an orphaned account. It's like a perfect working key just sitting there, waiting for a hacker to find it. This is a huge, huge security hole. This is exactly why the official security standards, like this one from NIST, are so strict about this. And notice that key word, automated.
The process of shutting down an account shouldn't depend on a person remembering to check a box on a form. It has to be an automatic, immediate action that's tied directly to when an employee leaves. And what this really means is that one of the biggest insider threats out there isn't from the people working there right now. It's from the digital ghosts of former employees whose access was just never shut down properly. These lingering accounts are a massive, silent risk for any company.
All right, so we've looked at how organizations handle all this stuff, but what about you? How can you take these exact same ideas and use them to protect your own digital self? Here's a quick personal security checklist. 4 key things. First, use a different, strong password for every single website. I know, it's a pain, but it's crucial. Second, turn on that 2-step verification we talked about on every account that lets you. Third, since there's no way you can remember all those passwords, get a good, reputable password manager. And last, just be super careful about logging into important stuff like your bank when you're on public Wi-Fi. At the end of the day, your digital identity isn't just a bunch of usernames and passwords. It's basically a master key to your personal life, your financial life, your professional life, everything. So the question I want to leave you with is this: who else out there might be holding a copy? And are you doing everything you possibly can to protect it?